Okay. Next up, the old man, but the good man, Keion White from Georgia Tech. White is a 6-year senior. That means he turns 25 years old in January. He is currently he's one of the few people who are like us, born in the 90s. Let's go. But yeah, he went to Georgia Tech for his senior year. Before that was with Old Dominion. Testing wise, he is basically 6'5", 1/8 of an inch smaller than that. 285 pounds, 34-inch long arms, 80-inch wingspan, jumped 34 inches vertically, 9'9" in the broad, and 30 reps on the bench press. At his pro day, he ran a 4.76 seconds 40-yard dash with a 1.69 seconds 10-yard split. Those are impressive numbers for his kind of body size. Like, he is a legit, 285 pounds, which I think, Griff, you think is something that's being forgotten in this process.
Yeah. Again, like a lot of these guys, they have their college weight listed, and then what they run at the combine, like a lot of them are dropping weight. Like Karlaftis last year was supposedly 280, 275 maybe, and then he ran at like 260 at the combine. So he's in a totally different weight class now, and he's just a bigger edge. He's a legit edge, just on the bigger side. Keion is a legit 285 pounds, and he's a 285 pounds that can actually rush the edge. He can actually bend the edge, power the edge. And then because he's 285, I think there's some viability there to pinch down and actually be, a relatively high snap through technique in a 5-man front. Like, you wouldn't want him playing there on the inside in like a 2-4-5, or even like, the old, under over scheme. Even though the Sam's on the line of scrimmage, you'd rather have him be a legit 5 technique than on the 3 technique side, right? But like in a 5-man front where you've got 2-3 techniques, which alleviates the frequency of doubles, right? Or if there is a double, they don't stay on as long. I think he can play inside there. He does have a tendency to get high at times with his pad level. Again, he is 6'5", but I don't think that's a lack of flexibility. I think that only really shows up, and we have some examples, but I think that mostly only shows up when he's 2-gapping. He'll have to do some of that, when they have him play 4-eye and 4. But I think as a 3 technique where he's power stepping, 1-gapping, I don't think there's a leverage problem. He might be high, but he's establishing leverage often enough. I think he can be a complete player. I mean, really, essentially his usage would be very similar to Draymond, except that when you go to the 2-4-5, he can actually be one of the guys that can bend the edge for you, which is important because then that means he's helping you defend the run in that front and you improve. So he'd be like opposite Nwosu in those contexts, right? So I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot here. The main drawback with him is that the dude is going to be 25 years old next January. That probably drops him a full 30, 32 spots in the draft of where he would go otherwise.
Yeah, immediately, like, looking at the Georgia game and kind of the level of competition, is insightful. Like, okay, probably your best players aren't going to come against Georgia, and Georgia Tech really struggled in this game, like most teams against Georgia. But like, here he is at the top of the screen. You can just see like the get off for a guy his size and like the first step. And okay, at the bottom of the screen they're running a game, so they're not quite as fast off the ball. But like, he surprises the left tackle out here early in the game. Like, and it is like the ball coming out quickly.
Yeah. And like, I wouldn't call this a win, but he's still, it shows the traits that he's actually getting at the top of the arc about 9-10 yards. And he has the movement skills to kind of, crank around. Like, not ideally he'd win the edge at, 6-7 yards and then crank around at 8 or 9 instead of 9 or 10, 9, 10, 11. But it's just, this is 285 doing what he's doing right there. Again, it's not an impressive rep, but it's an informative rep. And those same traits show up in his better reps later on in this game, and then also in other games of the season. So
absolutely. And the other thing about him is he's able to contribute on a variety of downs. So here he's playing on the right edge, and this is a play action win, I'd say, towards the end. The thing which really stands out about him is he loves to be able to, he can dip like in his upper body, and he
Right.
has like
He's
upper body
flexible.
flexibility to do that, which
He's
like
flexible and
again, not
coordinated.
typical. This is like a, play action, so he's playing run first. He, gets his hands on, and there's drive. Like look at him getting constant steps into the backfield, like connecting into the turf, and then the dip to get free eventually, like constantly fighting.
I mean, that's coordination and flexibility that the last guy that we just watched doesn't have. Straight
Right.
up doesn't have it, And he's 15 pounds lighter than, I mean, maybe he played at 275, 280, but Keion is actually 285 here, a real 285.
Yeah, and
Then again,
maybe Stetson Bennett's able to hang in this pocket a tiny bit longer, and
I mean,
if he doesn't win like this,
right. And not the most impressive rep. That's against a good left tackle, and traits are on display. So
Yep. Again, talking sort of movement skills. Here he is on the left of our picture, charging it inside zone away, and then redirecting to the quarterback. Like there is not much speed lost here. These are big steps, well measured steps, towards this play, which like, okay, it's not like a bend, but it's redirection, big steps and awareness. Like,
right.
um, that point as well. Like obviously he is big, so there is, and 34-inch arms. Then they're not a joke. Like there is length to make plays as well. So here we go. He's on the right of our picture here. And that's a super impressive one-arm tackle, squeezing down the line of scrimmage.
Because he's the C gap player. Like he's not even two gapping. He just is able to just work his way in.
Yep, bigger. Like
Like
really, this should be
that's
the number 2 linebacker off the ball play up in that B gap, but he's able to kind of just take air out of stuff.
right. And that
Um,
is huge if you can envision that in the nickel over front, especially
right,
if you put him to the bubble with the nose to the two eye side. You can cheat the numbers just because he has the length and movement skills and play strength to just be able to work into that other gap, even though he's not technically two gapping. You're just kind of BSing it. You're just making plays. You're being a playmaker. So
absolutely, absolutely,
and
and
like this play is moving away from him. It's crazy that he gains a gap on a play moving away from him.
yep. Here he is on the left. Um, Again, kind of gaining stuff on plays away. Like he should not be able to cross face like this. Reads the blocking scheme. This is canceling gaps. Impressive to recognize this, along with the ability to get involved.
I mean, I feel like the 49ers are going to end up taking him and just use him in all the ideal ways you'd use him in a 40 front,
Yeah, because what we're talking about here as well, like whatever Seattle does, and possibly this pick is done at 20. Maybe it's done slightly later. 37 is an option. Maybe even later still. But we're talking about someone who isn't necessarily going to be a starter or play the most snaps. But what are they going to contribute like day one? How are they going to get on the field? And like White, there's a number of ways White can get on the field. Like he can
Yeah.
bring a different style of pass rush. He can bring run defense. Now all of this is from the defensive end spot. We do have examples inside as well where, because he's a taller type, Griff. The pad level is like slightly a challenge for him, right? But like he's able to be okay one-on-one.
Agreed. Yeah.
So here is a. Oh, and also as a rusher, there is ability to there's moves, and there's a pass rush plan. I think there's semblance of that, which again, like for an older prospect, maybe you'd expect that, but like it's obvious that he's trying to put stuff together again against a good tackle. I mean, this is like very exciting. If the ball doesn't come out here, this this is like put this on the highlight tape.
Yeah. I mean, like he's got the first step and then like a stutter move.
And the
And then
balance.
so when the tackle engages him, that left tackle 59 is used to that
Winning.
contact that he makes is kills it, like rides off a lot of guys.
Yeah, but
Keon's
look,
path is sustained.
yeah, and look where he gets his arm into the tackle, and the tackles end up grasping his helmet. He thinks he's getting
Yeah.
chest. He's like, oh
Yeah.
crap,
And
that
then
didn't go
he
well.
and then he kind of loses his balance at the end, but that's a big boy he's dealing with. He regains it, which is impressive though. The fact
Feet
that
landing
he
the ground.
collects himself like that is crazy. And
Yep.
then he kind of corks it back in uh, at the top of the rush. So again, that's 285 pounds moving like that. He doesn't look
Yeah,
285 because he's 6'5",
it looks
but
pretty. It looks nice from the sideline angle as well.
yeah. So it's just he's an actual threat on the edge, and that's really exciting because then that means the flexibility with how you can use him, and then what that means for how flexible you can be with your fronts, what fronts you use and when. It's like, well, we need edge rush now. It's like, well, Keion can be on the edge and they're like, oh, we got to pinch it down. Well, Keion can, play through technique. You know what I mean? So
Yep. Um, and also, he's a really fast guy for his size, and we've sort of shown that already. But this is a good example of, okay, you don't want him probably to drop into coverage too much, and he's in serious run pass conflict here at the top of the screen as the right kind of outside linebacker type. Um, but what I want to focus on more is his recovery to this running back. So, like right now, he's not aware, and this is a tricky concept because the running back starts as the tailback. This is a beta. Georgia knew they were getting this look. But look at his right. This guy's had a full head of steam. He's got like 7 yards. Well, he started off here, like 8 yards on him, but he's able to like catch up. And if he doesn't, his playing of the ball is poor. If he trusted himself and took a few extra steps, maybe he breaks this up or plays through the hands a bit more. Like that is not a slow dude. Like
yeah,
I'd be interested in what how fast that running back is, but and he does have to adjust back to the ball. But this is a guy who can move. For his size. Uh, what did I say that he tested? A 4.7640 with a 1.69 10-yard split. So like not the best numbers, but it's not slow, and like the tape stuff is not not to be sniffed at.
right.
It's not too choppy, is it, the playback?
No, that seems fine.
Okay, good. And then here's an example on the inside where we talked about his pad level getting a bit high. Here he is the 4-eye technique, left 4-eye. He will just get high. And again, this is a good offensive line, but is he almost? It's not just that he's high in the upper body. It's more that his legs are so
Look at his
long that getting
hips.
them
Yeah.
up and down means it takes longer to get them up and down. So like here,
I
his
almost feel
power step,
like,
his lateral step, his mover step lack power, right?
yeah, like he can't. Yeah. I feel
Like
like,
look how high his butt is here.
right. I feel like for him to get lower, he'd have to take a wider mirror step so that his naturally there'd be more bend at the knee of like the
Yeah,
the the play side knee,
and you get shoved out.
but then the problem then is that it takes longer to then get the foot up and down. And I don't know. I with maybe technique improvement, he can get there, but it's really not there as a 4-eye mirror stepping, two gapping
Yeah, you more
inside
want
player.
him attacking as like a on the outside shoulder of a dude, right? Taking that 6-inch step and hopefully being 1-on-1 so you can
Yeah,
just knock someone back, right?
right. Which he has the traits for, and I think he
Yeah.
has the traits and weight to do that routinely. It's just he has to find himself in the right position for it to
Yeah,
do that.
Georgia's defense is one of those where sorry, Georgia Tech's defense one of those where they play a lot of 2-4 eye looks. Now, it remains to be seen what on earth Seattle was doing on their front this year, because they have one player over £300 still. Draymond Jones's addition kind of hints at, well, at this point, I don't know what it hints at, but what we'd like it to hint at is that he'll be like the kind of big end type. So he'll play some 5 tech. He'll play in underlooks. He'll play some 3 tech in bear, and then maybe he'll play a touch of 4i, and then he'll play be a rush 3 tech, but maybe a bigger kind of end in the 2-4-5 over G look, where he can play to that B gap bubble, to the 2i nose tackle that Griff spoke about. So that Draymond Jones role is really the same kind of role that Keion White would occupy, just White slightly bigger. So and just very different. But it would be cool to see. I think their skill sets would complement each other really well. And if that's that's an important role, asking a lot of Draymond Jones, and yeah, they paid him good money to do that. But having like another option on the roster able to do that, and Miles Adams is like a very kind of light alternative to that, right? Like he could do that sort of stuff. I mean, he's one of the few guys on the roster, so it's easy to name him. But like, he's that kind of body composition in that kind of suits him. Definitely suits him better than asking him to play nose tackle. But yeah. So Keion White, super exciting. I think, like, again, not the most not the most astonishing podcast, in that we're both like agreeing on a player again, and we're seeing the same kind of vision. But yeah, the age is the thing, and like maybe this is what a 25-year-old who has this kind of body type should look like, but like it's still cool.
Right. So given that, what's the earliest you would take him then? Irrespective of who you took in front of him, which might cancel out the necessity for it. But what's the earliest you'd take him in a quote unquote vacuum?
Uh, 50's too high.
You think 50's too high?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So basically, with your 4th pick is really when you'd start to consider it.
Yeah, like maybe you trade down. It's ideal, right? But like maybe you trade down from 20 to like 29, and then you pick up like a 3rd rounder, and then that's Keion White.
Because do you think the league's gonna really drive him down their board because of the age?
I don't know either.
Looking at Michael Clemens last year, who had maybe almost not quite as impressive a tape as Keion White.
Different.
But Clement, yeah, the different players, but Clemens still had some good tape. He was the exact same age. He's 25 right now. He actually had some good games for New York this past year. So he was a 4th round pick. And also Keion White is supposedly interviewing really well too. So you don't know how much teams.
Yeah, and like, don't get it wrong. It sucks for him. Like, the reason that he's this old isn't necessarily his fault. Fault. But like, Old Dominion
he's had a
essentially
bizarre college career. Yeah.
Well, yeah, like, so Old Dominion cancelled their college season in 2020 due to the pandemic. So he entered the transfer portal, and then signed with Georgia Tech after that season. Then he got injured playing basketball, which maybe that explains the coordination drift.
Yeah, for real. But then, so you've got COVID, then you've got injury, and that doesn't even mention the fact that he started off at Old Dominion as a tight end. He wasn't even playing defensive line till his 2nd year.
Yeah, he came out.
So he's had a very bizarre college career, and that it's all those things contribute to why he's 24. Now, his junior year, I watched a couple of games, and all the same traits are there. He just maybe didn't quite put it all together, but he was
level of competition.
Level of competition.
Yeah. And like, how did he look at the Senior Bowl? Because, not to put you on the spot, but you were the D-line guy, and you didn't like rave about this guy called Keion White.
Yeah. You're right. I didn't really recall him as much.
I went back and watched it, and he had the same kind of things. Like he was very good at edge setting, had a great anchor. That shows up. In the pass rush stuff, like it's very limited opportunities. Like you get 1 or 2 reps, but like he showed he could run around the edge. But then like when he moved inside, the pad level was still a thing, obviously. Like and struggling to anchor because of that. But like you could see like his dip, his traits, like they're still there. It's just like if you're not watching him, it might not necessarily stand out.
Right.
But yeah, he's like he feels like a clear fit for the Seahawks. You agree with my kind of usage, right?
And yeah, and especially if he is like a late second, early third round pick, because then you don't need to worry about, you play him as much as you want to as a third round pick. You're not, you don't need return on investment on third round picks or whatever. If they work, great. If they don't, whatever. It's not like burning a first round pick. So, I mean, if you can only get 500 snaps out of them, but they're quality 500 snaps from a third round pick, you take that every single time out of a defensive line player. So, yeah.
There you go.